The drama surrounding John Davidson and the BAFTAs hit a fever pitch. And it wasn't just about the words thrown around, it was about how people felt it and how the big institutions reacted. Listen to this. Davidson, a UK figure widely recognized for living with severe Tourette's, whose story has been captured in films and documentaries over the years, stepped onto this year's BAFTA stage. Girl, things immediately went sideways on camera, and the moment turned into something nobody saw coming.
Good evening. Delroy and I are delighted to be presenting the first BAFTA of the night for a vital part of movie making.
We're here to celebrate the artists who expand what's possible on screen.
Effects can create spectacle, but the best work serves character and story.
During the live show, Davidson's tics included a shocking verbal slip, the N-word, and it was all caught on the delayed feed millions would eventually watch. Hold up. Once that clip went viral, the backlash was immediate and intense. And it wasn't just casual viewers throwing shade. Heavy hitters from comedy and entertainment jumped in too. Jamie Foxx slammed the incident as unacceptable, pointing out that words like that, even if involuntary, still carry serious weight, especially in front of Black stars like Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, who were presenting. When Dawn Pierce weighed in, she emphasized that while the word is obviously loaded, the conversation had to balance accountability with care for those affected. Girl, the real twist? On social media, Black audiences in both the UK and the US weren't just debating intent, they were scrutinizing the aftermath and how institutions handled it. A major sticking point, timing and consistency. Observers highlighted that earlier in the ceremony, a young British director's line, "Free Palestine," had been muted on broadcast.
And lastly, to all those whose parents migrated to obtain a better life for their children, to the economic migrant, the conflict migrant, those under occupation, dictatorship, persecution, and those experiencing genocide, you matter, your stories matter more than ever. Your dreams are an act of resistance. Archive your stories yesterday, today, and forever. For Nigeria, for London, the Congo, Sudan, free Palestine. Thank you.
Yet here's the kicker. Something as explosively offensive as a racial slur from a guest actually invited to the show stayed in the broadcast until enough viewers complained. You won't believe this. For many Black users online, it screamed double standard. Political statements get scrubbed, but genuinely harmful language, that somehow stays just because it happened live. That exact feeling, that Black voices aren't taken seriously until the outrage hits a fever pitch, is what turned this from an awkward slip into a full-blown cultural firestorm. This is where insight from comedians and other public figures really mattered. Godfrey, the comedian, didn't hold back. He called out the sheer carelessness of the event. He addressed not just the slur, but the emotional weight forced onto Black talent having to navigate that stage in the moment.
So I'm looking at this video with Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo at the BAFTA Awards. And you know Michael B. and Delroy, Sinners is probably going to win Best Picture. It's going to probably win a bunch of Oscars. I'm crossing my fingers. But they're just doing great work, just dignified brothers killing it right now. And something happens while they're up there. Two words are uttered out. Yeah, bitch nigga. And it is said by a guy named John Davidson. I think he's part of the awards ceremony. I think he might be a producer or whatever. He says, but he has Tourette's. I don't know if you know Tourette's. I follow people online that have Tourette's where they get these tics, you know, like verbal tics where they be like, yeah. A lot of times it's profanity or whatever, or sometimes like sounds and stuff like that. And it's really a really terrible disease, you know. But I have to scratch my chin on this one, because how did he say when Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan were up there? I can understand if he's like, but. So my thing is this, and I'm trying to use my logic. I'm not trying to put people down with this, but why was it specifically? It makes me rub my chin going, was he really thinking this? Is there a thought process in a person with Tourette's? They have these thoughts and that disease brings it out?
Yamaneika Saunders, known for speaking her mind in past controversies around Black comedians and public debates, didn't hold back on her channel this time either. She made it clear, having a disability, including Tourette's, doesn't automatically remove accountability in context. And girl, she went in on BAFTA too, calling out their slow response and the lack of care for the presenters who ended up as unwilling witnesses to the chaos.
Let's talk about the BAFTA shit now. Cause you niggas give a fuck about the BAFTAs. The BAFTAs. Who gives a fuck? They had a Tourette nigga up there calling. They didn't edit it out, even though they could have. Then we found out that not only did they delete something that they thought was politically charged, they deleted him calling somebody a and calling some, but they couldn't find their way to delete him calling them nigga and then saying nigga bitch. Then the nigga don't even apologize. He's talking about, I want to thank the community that stood by me because I'm trying to express the advocacy that's needed for Tourette's. You. If I had Tourette's syndrome and I said something that was offensive to an entire group of people that we all know is a hot topic, the first thing I would say is I am so sorry from the bottom of my heart that that came out. I have Tourette's. He didn't even do that. He's not even trying to see where you niggas is coming from. This is the type of hate that Black people are dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
But she also highlighted something deeper. Black audiences notice patterns, and they aren't easily fooled. Listen to this. When someone disadvantaged, like a person with a genuine neurological condition, has a harmful moment on stage, the proper response goes beyond a simple apology. It's about care, clear communication, and structural follow-through. Just saying sorry after the internet blows up, that doesn't cut it. You won't believe this. Black TikTok creators living with Tourette's have added a whole new perspective. Several spoke up to defend Davidson, emphasizing that as a person with a disability, he deserves understanding. They broke it down patiently and clearly. Tourette's is real, unpredictable, and not something someone can control in the heat of the moment.
Ignore how I look right now. Critical attention. I am not feeling too great. However, there is something I have been asked to talk about, and that is going to be the BAFTA situation. I have been seeing a bunch of outrage about it, people saying, oh, well, why would that even be in his vocabulary? He did that on purpose and all of this stuff, and that racism is to excuse. Very bitch sad day for the Tourette syndrome community, especially for the ones that have coprolalia, because when you come online and you see thousands of people hating on your condition, specifically coprolalia, because that's something that is already very embarrassing for all of us. I'm not going to say that people can't be offended by the fact that somebody said the N-word as a tick. However, it's not something that somebody can control. It's not something that somebody wants to say. And I've been seeing a lot of people be like, well, he said it like when the crowd went silent. That is most likely when a tick is going to happen, when you're in public, when you're in complete silence, or when you're trying not to say or do something. So we must understand what coprolalia is. Coprolalia causes involuntary swearing and inappropriate tics. This can include the N-word, slurs, etc. I am a Black person, and even I have the N-word tic and slurs as tics. This is something I don't see many talk about because of situations like this. Is it a disappointing thing? Shut up! That it happened in public in front of that entire crowd, specifically to Michael B. Jordan and the other presenter. I'm so sorry, I do not know his name. I wish I did, but no disrespect to him. I just am not too aware. Yes, it is a very unfortunate situation. Seeing so many people say that they would invoke violence against people with coprolalia if they can't control their tics. That's ableism. The fucked up thing that this happens, yes, but it's something that we can't control.
Many Black creatives and viewers are navigating both truths at once. Tourette's is real. Involuntary outbursts are part of the condition, and the emotional weight of hearing that word live on air hits Black people hard everywhere. That's why Jamie Foxx's condemnation landed so strongly, not because he's dismissing disability, but because he's making it clear every institution has a duty to protect both its audience and its performers.
I'm one of the actors in I Swear. I play John Davidson's lawyer. And if you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. In the scene, I'm representing him because he's just got into trouble, and I'm representing him, but at the same time, he's hurling abuse at me, and it's very offensive words. Now, this is the condition, the disease of Tourette's syndrome. John cannot control what he says. In fact, that's the whole point of why we're making this film. We've made this film, I swear, is to educate people about Tourette's syndrome. And how can you say that he can't be there at the awards? This is a film about his life. This is a film about him. Absolutely he has to be there, and absolutely it's great that he was there. And I don't know if some of the actors there were told in advance about someone with Tourette's being there. Hopefully they would have been told, therefore prepared for that kind of stuff that happened. Regardless, John has Tourette's. Enough said.
BAFTA and the BBC have since issued apologies and pulled the offending clip from online streams. But here's the catch. Doing it only after the backlash made it look like some content gets treated as urgent, while harm to Black people and language is handled reactively, not proactively. Critics online, particularly within Black diaspora communities, argue this shows a bigger pattern. Major cultural gatekeepers are quicker to scrub political statements than to stop racially harmful moments from ever airing. In 10 Decide, that's exactly the message a lot of people took away.
Some people aren't gonna like this take. I could really care less. A disability is not an excuse for racism. That clip of Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo getting called the hard R by a man with Tourette's as they're presenting an award is mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling, number one, because they were able to keep their composure so well. I don't think most people would have been able to do that in that situation. And number two, because of the conversation people are having right now. Because before people even had a chance to digest what happened, I've seen people run to this guy's defense saying, oh, that's just how the condition is. They can control what they say. You know, they're not trying to offend anyone. And that could be true. And what's also true is that the entire internet just saw these two Black men who were just trying to do their job and present an award get called a slur in front of an entire audience. I find it very funny that in all of the statements surrounding this situation, all of the understanding that people are seeking from, they're all saying, oh, we're so glad that the audience has understanding. We're so glad that the audience was able to, you know, deal with this. And not the two people that were actually called slurs.
When a community already weighed down by historical erasure and being dismissed feels overlooked, frustration can quickly spiral into distrust. But hold up, the nuance here is crucial. Several Black TikTok creators with Tourette's stepped up to validate the reality and uncontrollability of Davidson's condition, and that complicates the story in a way that can't be ignored. These aren't faceless commenters. They live with the same neurological experiences and are telling the public, you don't truly get how involuntary these outbursts are.
As a Black woman with Tourette's syndrome, I think I have valuable information to add to the discourse about the BAFTAs incident with John Davidson and Michael B. Jordan and Delroy. So I've made videos about this in the past. This comment is from a video that I made 3 years ago that is kind of active again because I talked about coprolalia, which is the tic in Tourette's syndrome that causes people to say obscene things, socially inappropriate things, culturally inappropriate things. I've seen a lot of discourse and I just kind of want to bring some education and shed some light. Similarly, I guess the top 3 things that I've repeatedly been seeing that I'd like to give my input about is, number one, a lot of people are saying that it seemed like that was the only time that John Davidson ticked, right when it was silent and right when it was perfect for him to say the N-word. That was the only time he ticked. Obviously, I was not there to see if he ticked throughout the rest of the show or not, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's true. A lot of times there might be motor tics that are going on, which is movement that we might not see because obviously the camera is elsewhere throughout the show. There might have been other vocal tics that he had said that were a bit more muffled. He might have gotten up and gone to the bathroom to let out a bunch of tics in the bathroom before coming back. I know I've done that, and I know a lot of my friends with Tourette's syndrome have done that as well. So we don't necessarily know. And sitting there and assuming that that's the only time he ticked is also giving the impression that you're assuming that he did it on purpose, which brings me to my second point. A lot of people are saying they understand that, you know, Tourette's syndrome is involuntary and he can't control it, but he shouldn't have said that. that's conflicting. You are now saying that you don't understand what involuntary and uncontrollable means, because it's you cannot control it.
To ignore that perspective would be reckless. It's a reminder that discussions around disability often get oversimplified in public debates, reduced to, he said the word, so he's a bad person, when real experiences with neurological conditions don't fit into tidy boxes. And that's exactly the core of this moment. Both sides of the discussion carry real pain and legitimacy. Black people are fully justified in feeling hurt by hearing a racial slur in a setting that was public, unexpected, and shared with Black artists. Disability advocates are equally justified in pushing back against the misuse of neurological conditions in public debate. And comedians and entertainers have every right to demand more thoughtful broadcasting practices, because their reputations and the moments they're part of are also under the microscope.
That's one of the parts of the condition where, especially with the vocalizations, we are not racist, we are not sexist, we are not perverts or anything, but what comes out is the almost taboo, the worst thing we could say.
There needs to be more outrage towards the BAFTA team than the man with the disability. The BAFTA team, the multi-million-dollar team that's making the awards, presenting the awards, combed through every single second of that pre-recorded show, cut out when people gave political shout-outs, Free Sudan, Free Palestine, and kept the portion where someone said the N-word. That was purposeful. That was to cause division. That was to cause conversation online and to possibly bring more focus to the BAFTA Awards. Because let me tell you something, I never even knew about this award system until yesterday.
If this controversy has taught us anything, it's that institutions like BAFTA and broadcasters like the BBC seriously need stronger systems for inclusion, not just in deciding who gets on stage, but in planning access, preparing for disability-related scenarios, and protecting everyone's dignity. Listen to this. An apology that only comes after social media erupts reads as damage control, not genuine care. That's exactly why voices from Jamie Foxx to Godfrey, from Yamaneika to Black TikTok creators with Tourette's are all chiming in. It's not about piling on. It's about highlighting deeper structural problems around race, media, and respect in cultural spaces. And until these institutions stop doing the bare minimum once the cameras roll and outrage explodes, people will keep demanding more than just a sorry.